We begin our look at sports with the passage of summer. Memorial Day weekend ushered in the 106th running of the Indy 500. I'm delivering your morning sports this morning from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where Marcus Ericsson, aka the Sneaky Swede, took home his first Borg-Warner trophy in the greatest spectacle in racing. All-time great Scott Dixon dominated early, but Ericsson pulled away late over the final two laps to win a two-lap shootout with Arrow McLaren SP driver Pato O'Ward at the famed Brickyard. The 31-year-old Chip Ganassi driver started fifth and helped CGR earn its fifth Indy 500 win, first since 2012. The team's managing director, Mike Hull, provided some perspective on the day and high praise for the former Formula One driver emerging in the IndyCar series.
This is a globally significant event. If you're lucky enough to travel around the world and go to motorsports events, you realize that. And he won a globally significant motor race under a lot of pressure. If that doesn't demonstrate to the world how special this guy is, there's nothing we can do about it.
In his previous two IndyCar wins, Ericsson came from behind, hence the nickname, and seemingly came out of nowhere to victory lane. This time he was a serious contender coming into the weekend after running well in qualifications.
After the last pit stop, he didn't lift once. Just held his foot to the floor. They steered, and they didn't have to make any changes on the car the whole day. And they just put tires on it, tires and fuel. And you always hear that about the cars that win the Indianapolis 500. You know, it's a clean day, and they don't touch the car, and sure enough, they win.
The Indy 500 winner weaved through the field using a legal maneuver being called the Dragon on his way to glory in a race known for history, tradition, pageantry, and of course, speed.
The only thing that could stop us was a caution, and of course that caution came. It's not supposed to be easy to win the 500, and those 10 minutes sitting there in the pit lane during that red flag was some of the hardest 10 minutes of my life, probably. Thinking what to do and thinking that I'm leading the biggest race in the world and I'm that close to win it. And I knew Pato was going to have a run on me because up front, we've seen all month, it's really hard to defend when you're up front. And I was actually, sitting during dinner here at the Speedway on the infield last night, talking with Dario about this type of scenario. If I'm leading when it's towards the end of the race, the last couple of laps, what to do, how to break the toe of the car behind, where to place the car. So we had that very conversation last night, and that was in my mind when I was sitting there during that red flag. And then I just tried to go out and execute that plan I had made in my head. Pato had a really good run on me. I wanted to put him on the outside because I knew it was going to be hard to go around my outside, and I was not going to lift. There was no way I was going to lift. So I just kept my foot down, and that was the race-winning move.
More on the IndyCar experience in my C list. Racing headlines at top spot here on 5 on 5. 5 sports stories and recap, and 5 to watch out for. The Indy 500 here in the States on the Sunday before Memorial Day. F1 in Monaco, and the capper is always NASCAR in Charlotte with the Coke 600. More on that in just a moment. Red Bull's Sergio Perez collected his first victory of the season and his first in the Principality on the French Riviera to close within 15 points of the championship lead. Checo is the first Mexican to win in Monaco and the first North American to triumph in that race since 1981. In NASCAR, Denny Hamlin survives 2 overtime restarts to win a wild war of attrition in Charlotte. That completed the racing trifecta on Sunday. Meantime, the New York Rangers were looking to complete some comeback of their own. In round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, they pushed the series to 7 games, squaring off with Carolina on Memorial Day. Talk about epic turnarounds. No quit New York. The Broadway Blue Shirts pushed the second round to 7 games and finally pull out a road win in Carolina. Here's Adam Fox on a Memorial Day to remember for the surging Rangers.
Backs against the wall 5 times now, and we've come through all 5, so definitely want to keep this momentum going into the next round. We do have bigger goals. Obviously, it's a huge accomplishment for our team, but, we just want to carry it into the next round here. I don't know if you ever want to, be too comfortable. Obviously, they have a lot of firepower on that team. Obviously, getting the first and the second was big, and I think once it's 2-0, you want to get that next one, and Stromer burying that third one was huge. Then it kind of went back and forth in the third, but you never want to sit back and crazy things have happened, and in these types of games. So, but yeah, we obviously felt comfortable when we got that multi-goal lead.
And at number 3, the Bronx Bombers dropped 2 out of 3 to the rival Tampa Bay Rays, but are still among the top 3 teams in the Major League Baseball rankings, along with the Amazons. The Mets grabbed the 2 spot by sweeping their divisional rivals, the Philadelphia Phillies. The calendar may have just turned over to the month of June, but it's looking more and more like a Subway Series daily here in the Big Apple. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. On this date in Bronx sports history, slides in here at number 2, June 3rd, 1932 is the day that the Iron Horse, Lou Gehrig, hit a home run in his first 4 at-bats against the then Philadelphia Athletics. The Yankee great became the first in the modern era to do so, a feat not even his teammate, the legendary Babe Ruth, had ever accomplished. The pride of the Yankees stole some headlines from the Babe that day. And in at number 1, our Bronx Athlete of the Week nabbed some headlines of his own. Perhaps the most underappreciated goalie in Major League Soccer plays here in the Bronx. Sean Johnson is an absolute stud for the New York City Football Club. He stopped everything in a 1-0 win over Minnesota for the reigning MLS Cup champions. The dub places them atop the Eastern Conference standings. The 32-year-old is now unscored upon in his last 6 starts. Sean Johnson, my player of the week. To the back end of 5-on-5 we go. Per usual, we'll count up here. And at number 1, the Yankees host Detroit this weekend at the stadium before heading to Minnie Tuesday to open a road series. Meanwhile, at number 2, the Mets continue their West Coast swing in LA. 3 more with the mighty LA Dodgers this weekend. Those 2 appear on a collision course in the National League. In the 3rd spot, the NBA Finals continue this weekend. Boston and Golden State got underway last night in game number 1. Game 2 is Sunday in California before the series comes east for game 3 in Boston Wednesday night. In the 4th spot, the race for the Stanley Cup continues with the conference finals in mid-swing. And at 5, we open with racing and we'll close with racing. IndyCar looks to build off an awesome Indy 500 weekend this weekend in Detroit. The Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix is Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Those are the headlines. We hit the C-list for some perspective on what it's like to be behind the wheel in the Indy 500. Racing royalty Mario Andretti was 53 years old when he ran his best lap ever in IndyCar, 234 miles per hour at Michigan International Speedway. For anyone that missed our show last week, we got the opportunity of a lifetime to ride along with the only man to win the Indy 500, the Daytona 500, and the Formula One crown. And we did it in the racing capital of the world at the world's most famous speedway. For the most part, I let the video speak for itself, but I wanted to chime in this go around to articulate the feeling of going 180 miles per hour plus with the legend. Now, that speed is nowhere near 234 miles per hour, but man, oh man, the G's on your body and the speed itself is truly remarkable. We did 2 laps around the speedway and got a taste of what it's like out there. Our footage really captures that sensation, but imagine adding in another 40 to 50 miles per hour and 198 more laps for a total of 500 miles consecutively. And instead of being one car, you'd be racing with 32 others at that speed while over 300,000 people look on. In my mind, the only somewhat comparable comparison for an open-wheel racing driver is perhaps a fighter pilot. And in sports terms, there is no comparison. Yeah, I've got a need for speed, but I'll leave the speed to the professionals. Watching the Indy 500 from the media center does the trick just fine for me. That's your look at sports. Signing off from the racing capital of the world, I'm Bobby C.